Today in our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast, we are going to conclude chapter 38, all about God revealing in depth to Job the greatness of himself, the wonder of himself, the wonder of his creation and his sovereignty. And we've seen so many things that God has brought before Job that you and I need to contemplate as well. We're going to look at two more today as we complete this particular chapter. In verse 36, he talks about the brain or the mind. He says this, "Who has put wisdom in the innermost being or given understanding to the mind?" Let's pull over and park on that one just a moment. It has been said by some that the most amazing thing in the universe is the human brain. We in the scientific world have tried to examine so many things. We send satellites to the moon. We do all these kinds of things around the world. We have all this technology. We talk about AI taking over the world. There is nothing more sophisticated, nothing more mysterious and wonderful than the human brain, the human mind. To this very day, we understand so very little about this incredible organ, the human mind, the human brain. And as we look at that, he says, who's put wisdom in the innermost being or give understanding of the mind? Job, do you know how the mind works? Do you know how the organ, the brain, works? And the mind functions in conjunction with the brain. I'm not getting into philosophical issues here as such, but there is a separation. But nevertheless, do you understand that? I know Job did, and Job knew very little about the brain. We know much more today than ever before, but still we know so very little. What a complicated thing that God has created that runs the human body, the whole system. Without the brain, we can't function. We have to have our brain. When we're brain dead, we're dead. The brain runs our body. Our mind is a thinking apparatus. How do we think? Why do people think versus the rest of the animal world? The animal world has brains, but they don't think in the same way that people do. God has put all that together according to his purposes. Animals live by instinct. They can have certain amount of choices, but they don't think like people. They don't create like people. They don't make up songs like people. They don't do philosophy and write books and all these types of things like people. The mind connected with the brain. Wow. But God has put it together. God understands it. This is the God we have. This is the wonder of God himself that Job is missing out on, and you and I often do as well. And then we look at God's provision for the animal kingdom. He says in verse 39, "Can you hunt the prey for the lion or satisfy the appetite of young lions when they crouch in their dens and lie in wait in their lair? Who prepares for the raven its nourishment when its young cry to God and wander about without food?" So now he's moving into the animal kingdom, and he's going to talk about that more in chapter 39. So he's kind of bleeding over to that now. But Job, you know about lions, you know about ravens, you know about the animal kingdom to a certain degree. But who do you think provides for them? Well, how did God set up the system in which animals can feed themselves? They feed themselves only because God has made provision. Without those provisions, you wouldn't be able to do anything. Sure, we can throw a piece of meat to a lion in a cage, take care of that. But he's talking about the wild lions who roam the earth, the ravens and birds that live around the planet. How does all that work? You know, I often think in the spring when the songbirds start flooding back into our yard, and there's a lot of variety and so forth, and they eat different things, and they live in different places, and they make different chirps and songs. How does all that work out? Well, scientifically, we can write down some things, but think about putting it all together. And even there, the mysteries of the animal kingdom are beyond us in so very many ways, but not beyond God. The wonder of God is in all these things we've been looking at for the last 7 days about God's creation and control of these things. And the least of it is not the brain, the human brain and the human mind and the God's taking care of his own animal creation. Only God can do these things. Only God. For anyone to think that they can do it, that evolution is going to solve all these kind of problems, is absolutely ridiculous. A sovereign, all-powerful God is needed for all these things. Job needs to know that. You and I do too. We're going to look at chapter 39 starting tomorrow. Hope you can join us.